So if you've been in the market for a home, chances are you're kind of, especially if it's your first time in the rodeo, my goodness, you can go a little bit cross-eyed. What are points? How is the market right now? What's a seller's market? What's a buyer's market? If you've had questions about any of these things, our next guests, they can help you demystify the whole process. First of all, Corey Kelkin, he is the loan officer with Nova Home Loans, and also joining him in the office right next door is Bo McDougall. He is a broker realtor with Next Home People First. It's great having both of you. How are you, gentlemen?
Great. Thank you.
It's great to have both of you. So let's talk about it, especially for the first-time home buyer right now. It can be a little bit confusing. Explain the first steps in buying a home right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's an extremely competitive market, and I think the first step for any home buyer is to find a good real estate professional to be their partner in the process, and secondly, find a great mortgage lender to assist them with finding out exactly how much they can afford and the steps to that process before you can really start diving into searching for a home, viewing homes, and putting offers in. You need to work with a lender and see exactly what you're going to qualify for, so you don't get your hopes either crushed by finding something that you are in love with and you can't afford, or really limiting what you could potentially buy by going too low.
Crushed is absolutely the word, because if you're not prepared, you're like, oh, I like that home, but you can't get qualified for it. You're going to have a serious issue. So when it comes to mortgages that are out there right now, I mean, I know that we've bounced from the all-time lows, but we're still like historically incredibly low, aren't we, Corey?
Yeah, it's historically over the last 30 years, we're still in the lowest we've ever seen, taking away the last year that really dipped, subterranean, quite frankly, right? Yeah. With the rates dropping lower than anyone ever expected or everyone's ever seen before. But yeah, we're about an eighth to a quarter percentage point lower than we were at this time last year, right before, the market really kind of hit the skids as far as rates go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think is along that lines. I think some people, they get a little bit worried, though, when it comes to mortgages. They think that they can't get approved for a loan. Obviously, after 2008, you can't just make funny money out of thin air and say, here's what I make, and they just take that word as bond. But when it comes to a credit score, you can get qualified. You don't have to have an 800 credit score to get a mortgage.
No, that's for sure. That's one of the definite misnomers in the mortgage process is people call me all the time. My credit I'm working on, it's 750. I'm like, well, that's great. We can go all the way down to 620 on a conventional loan and or 580 for an FHA loan. Wow. In some instances, we can even go below the 580 for FHA on certain, terms and types of mortgages.
Yeah, I think out there. The home values seem to be going through the roof right now. It's definitely a seller's market. Explain the difference, if you can, Bo, about the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market.
For sure. I think the best way to see it is a teeter-totter. Markets are always in influx, and depending on who has the upper hand, it's either going to be a buyer's or seller's market. Obviously, right now, we're in a huge seller's market. Inventory is low. The amount of buyers per home is high. So in the effect is sellers are in the driver's seat. They can usually get what they're asking for or more. The terms are going to be more favorable for the seller. Whereas in a buyer's market where there's going to be more listings than necessarily buyers are able to get closing costs, or their terms are going to be a little bit better. They're able to have a little more negotiating power.
Yeah.
So it's just what side of that teeter-totter we're on, and we're really strongly on the seller teeter-totter right now.
Yeah, not a lot of inventory, but a lot of people looking to move here. I think the question then is, okay, I think a lot of people might have been thinking to get into the market maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe drag their heels a little bit, and now here we are. Are wondering, can I even afford a home right now? How do we know how much mortgage we can actually afford with the income we have coming in?
Well, that goes to your debt to income ratio. And again, people don't understand what debt to income ratio means. They think it's the total amount that they owe on a car payment or a credit card. In reality, it's just the amount that payment is monthly for those items compared to your gross income, right? And so we can go all the way up to 45% of your gross income and still give you pretty favorable terms.
Gotcha.
And most of the people that call me, they're payment driven, right? They want to know how much how much house I can get for this payment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are either coming out of a house that they're comfortable with that house payment, or they're renting at a certain price point. and now they want to try to keep it, as low as possible. Typically how it works is, people will come in and I ask them their budget. We here at Nova, we're more try to be advisors rather than just like, offer takers and just application filler out, guys that we're really kind of advising the client, get to know them a little bit, know what their goals are, know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and put them in the best situation to be successful with making that payment, right?
Yeah.
So that the way that we usually do budget is I get two comments. I want my payment to be X amount, or I want to know how much I can afford, how much I can qualify for. Well, the first question is a little easier to answer without getting too far into the process, because we can do some simple calculations to calculate how much, the house they're buying, how much down payment, and then calculate payment that way. As far as how much you can qualify for, obviously that's a little more in depth. That has to do with credit score. Big one is your debt to income, and then the last thing is what you're comfortable with, right? So once we get that, I can say I can qualify you for 450, let's say 450,000, and then but they don't want to see that payment, so then we adjust the house price lower until we match their total goal setting that they're putting for themselves as far as their budgetary items.
Gotcha. I know there are people that are renting right now. The rentals, by the way, my goodness, in the past 5, 6, 7 years have just skyrocketed and how much you're paying per month. And frankly, it makes a lot of sense for people to get in homes right now. For people that already have a home and that are trying to sell it to maybe move into that next home, what should they know? How should they prepare a house before they sell it? Do they even have to prepare it right now? I feel like a freshly burnt down house would pull 500,000 the way things are going.
I mean, definitely going back to the seller's market, you can put any house you want on the market and you're going to get an offer. But objectively, we would want to get the best offer possible for your home. That's our goal. That's our objective. Generally, when we list a home, the first step I always tell everyone is to have a reasonable expectation of what you want from your home. Either get with a real estate professional, figure out what your price point should be, do your research online, and then mentally prepare for the sales process. You're gonna have a lot of strangers in your home. There's gonna be a lot of contracts. There's gonna be, even being a seller's market, there's still a lot of stress in a move. Start by decluttering your home. So making it presentable. And kind of get an idea of how you want the showings to go. Do you want to only do open houses? Do you want showings Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 2 to 4? Or are you able to move out of your home and you have a second home and it's just going to be, available to other real estate professionals to show all the time? There's a lot of questions you need to prepare for and mentally prepare for the sales process, even when it's as easy as it is right now.
How long are homes staying on the market on average right now? Because I know, 10 years ago, if we all had a crystal ball and we knew how fast things would be going 10 years from now, there were some homes on the market for 100, 200, 300 days or more. And now it seems like they're going really fast.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the magic price point. I'd say between 300,000 and 500,000. If you're reasonably priced, your house is in good condition, you can expect multiple offers. Usually within the first, you're going to be under contract within a week or so.
Wow.
As you go higher in the price points, generally speaking, they stay on a little bit longer. But if you're ready to move and you're marketed appropriately, you should have multiple offers within a week or two.
Which, man, it's a good time to be a homeowner right now, to be able to sell it. And maybe if you're looking to downsize, especially if you have the kids that just moved out for college, you're in a perfect place right now. All right, really quickly, we have a little bit of a bonus round. We'll go real rapid fire with you, Corey, when it comes to some loan questions. What documents do we need when we want to get a mortgage?
The first most important documents are bank statements, a couple months bank statements, your last 30 days of pay stubs. Obviously, we want to qualify income is the most important thing. And then, the rest of the stuff is pretty simple. Driver's license, any kind of investments, kind of money, where the down payment's coming from. We need to source that. But the main things I ask for right away is the last 30 days pay stubs and the bank statements. We want to verify that we have down payment and closing cost money, and we want to definitely verify their income, that they're telling me the correct gross income.
Absolutely, because you can tell. It's pretty easy to tell now. Second thing, all right, how big of a down payment do you need? Do you need 20%?
Oh, no, that's definitely not a necessity. I mean, 20% is a common thing out there because of mortgage insurance and being able to get rid of your mortgage insurance. But FHA, we can go all the way down to 3.5% down payment. conventionals, pretty much 5% is what we recommend for people to do their down payment with.
Nice. That was my first one, 3.5. My second one was 20. And then finally, mortgage points. Explain what mortgage points are. I've heard of them. I used to work at a mortgage company. I still don't know what mortgage points are. Explain this.
Well, your mortgage interest rates are based on a percentage of percentages, right? So let's say you get a rate that's 3.75, and that's what we call par rate, which is as close to 100% as we can get in percentage points. Mm-hmm. Everything's there. There's always going to be 0.25 above or 99.92. So there's always these little adjustments. So when you talk about buying a point, you buy a percent of the cost of the house. So your loan amount's $250,000. You want to buy 1 point. That's $2,500, mm-hmm. right? And that's not going to lower your interest rate from 3.75 to 2.75. It's probably going to drop it, a quarter or an eighth, or maybe even a half, depending mm-hmm. on where exactly the pricing is on that particular day from the bond market.
Ultimately, if you spend the money on the point today, you'll save it on the interest in the long run.
Right. That's where the savings is. You save a little bit on the payment. You save a little bit on the payment side, but the real savings when you're talking about buying down your interest rate is in the long term. So that's the first question I ask when someone asks about points is, how long are you going to stay in the home? Mm-hmm. If you know you're going to stay there for a longer period of time, because typically people in their first homes, they're 5 to 7 years in their first home. Second home, they tend to stay a little bit longer. And then we talk later, and your third or fourth home, that may be your forever home for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Obviously, in your first home, you may not want to buy down very much or a small amount, just for the simple fact that it takes time to recoup that cost and the interest side of things. So the longer you stay, the more you can spend on your points and recoup the benefit of that buy down.
Same question here about adding solar. Are you going to be here for a few years? If so, same idea when it comes to points and mortgages.
Right.
Corey, Bo, it's great having both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
All right. And hey, if you want to get in contact with them and you want to start the home buying process for yourself, reach out to Corey Kelkin. He is a loan officer with Nova Home Loans. His information right there on your screen. Same with Bo McDougall. He is a broker realtor with Next Home People First. His phone number, his website on your screen as well. Have a great day.